All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. We've all had a chance to watch season 5B Lucifer now. So this particular episode, we're just going to give some general thoughts when we thought of the 8 episodes we've all binged this weekend. And then we'll have some other episodes later, more specific things. Remember to hit like and subscribe if you like this episode. Definitely share it around. And if you have any comments on things that you thought about when you were watching the season 5B, let us know in the comments. So welcome. I'm joined by my usual compatriot in crime, Pastor Brian.
Hello.
And I'm also joined by Todd, who has some opinions that are different from mine. So it's like, hey, we'll get some other different opinions here. Okay, so first of all, just some opening thoughts, Brian.
I enjoyed this half quite a bit, even though there's a lot that we'll talk about that was difficult for me around it. But I think that the writers, except for a few major things, made really smart choices and handled this about as well as I think they could have handled it. Especially the whole God aspect that you and I have speculated on for a long time now. So overall, I say good job with some major things to discuss. Yeah.
Okay, Todd.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed the overall. I guess 5B myself. It was entertaining. We watched it all in one go. So they definitely. It seemed like it got better as the rest of the season went along there. But I guess maybe because they were starting to tie up more things. But I liked it.
Okay. So they did find out they were going to do a season 6, I believe, when they were still scripting the end of this season 5. So they had a chance. They did originally think they were going to tie everything up and end here, but they had enough time then enough time to say, oh, wait a second, we don't have to end it here. So that the end of season 5 then could be expanded, maybe with some of the things they wanted to handle in season 6. I'm assuming one of those things will be Dan in Hell will be one of the things that season 6 will touch on. So maybe that originally would have been tied up in this last episode if they hadn't known ahead of time that they were going to have another season. So, but I did think season 5B was in a sense stronger than 5A.
Yeah.
I thought they had handled maybe Mazikeen a bit better and just had some things felt a bit tighter, I guess. So
And definitely left me pretty positively excited for season 6, which isn't always the case at the in the middle and at the end of seasons with them. So yeah, I think that they tied it up well and still without being obnoxious about clearly leaving a cliffhanger, right? I mean, I think it came to a satisfying close while still making one want to see what comes next. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think one of the things we discussed a little bit ahead of time here is the musical episode, which worried certainly me. I know it worried Brian. I don't know, Todd, did it worry you they were going to have a musical episode?
No. I was kind of curious on what they were going to do with it after all the other musical episodes of other series out there.
Right. I think with Buffy, it's like, okay, so this demon came to town, and it's like a demon that has to do with music, so it makes everybody sing, and it's like, okay, so within the mythology of the show, we had a good reason for why everybody just suddenly broke into song all the time. And this I was like, oh, I don't know. I mean, we don't really seem to have that kind of mythology going where people just randomly break into song. So, I mean, the way they handled it, I guess, worked, and having the particular songs they picked, have to fit with what was going on story-wise worked. So, the message of the songs came across. And I guess it showed off anybody's talent for singing and dancing that we haven't seen.
That would be one of my mildest criticisms, but I mean, one of my criticisms, it's very mild, but yeah, some of them should not be singing songs. I mean, everyone should sing and enjoy it, you know what I mean? But not as part of a professional TV show for me, you know what I mean? And I was not being overly critical. I mean, I'm glad that they stuck with their real voices and didn't dub in something. But yeah, it was a little hokey in the talent level for me at times. It felt a little amateur. But I agree that episode, I hate gimmicks, just tell the story. But I really do feel like the way the musical came in worked enough with the plot, but it especially helped me digest what would have been annoying to me, because that whole cliche of the dysfunctional family working it out annoys me to no end also. So I think doing the musical made it feel less preachy and a little bit less like traditional family, right? Like it made it feel a lot more universal, maybe even.
Any other thoughts on the musical episode, Todd?
No, actually, I mean, overall, I enjoyed it, and the song choices that they had, it's like, okay, yeah, that's the right song for that particular scene. Yeah, why particular scenes were happening that way when both Lucifer and God were not in the scene? It was like, so why are they singing? Why are we having just the two of us song when there's none of the other characters are actually in the scene until the very end when Menadil comes in?
True.
And we all know Dan's my boy, but Dan should not be singing and dancing. That's just not his talent, baby.
Although I guess it's nice that the cast just throws themselves into it, you know.
Yeah.
So another thing that sort of came up this time is, of course, we get Eve coming back, which, you know, is really cool. But I thought that the Mazikeen storyline was rather well handled. I think Todd didn't care for it. So Todd, do you want to say what you didn't care about for it?
Basically, I didn't like the initial hospital scene when Mazikeen's like flip-flopping around. It really seemed after school specially kind of thing. Oh, I love you, I don't love you. Oh, take this ring or don't take this ring. Oh, I'm leaving now. And it's like, because it all happened in like 5 minutes. So obviously if had drawn it out a little more, but it was just the way it flowed. It felt, you know, after school special to me. So it didn't feel real. I was taken out of the moment of watching the show and just watching it going, I don't think this will age well, but
yeah. And while I was very excited, I loved that matchup, and I think that the rest of it went well. I agree with you, and I can in this part of the season as well as other times, Lucifer, you know, and that love story with, oh my God, I'm blanking, but that love story of I love you, go away, I love you, go away, I love you, go away is so freaking annoying. I just want to strangle everybody who does it. And so in general, in all stories, that makes me crazy. And so I agree with you on that part of it. It's just so stupid when people, oh, I'm going to suffer because I choose to suffer. It's just like, stop it. Just stop it. Right. And Lucifer and, God, what's your name? They had to decide, Chloe, thank you. They had to decide to stop that too. Right. So, but I agree with you. It was really mashed up and fast. It's like, this is a great story, but they're going to do it really quickly here. With Mazikeen and Eve, so I agree with you on that. But I did love them being together, and their chemistry is great as a couple. Just great.
I think it maybe didn't bother me as much. I was kind of coming at from the angle that if someone had like just newly gotten a soul, that maybe the handling of the soul part, this is how we're showing how difficult it is to handle a soul when you haven't had one for eternity. So, and I don't know, I think it's cool that we're assuming that Mazikeen really does have a soul. I don't know how there's any way to prove that she has one. God just sort of hinted that she had one, and she took that hint and ran with it. But then when she starts thinking, now I'll end up in hell, right, when I die. So that was kind of interesting. Now she's not going to be the jailer. She will be one of the inmates if she goes there. So,
and since they explored so heavily the idea that hell really, as we've kind of talked about, but they really explicitly talked about hell is completely dependent on whether you feel guilty or not. And so I think maybe they're trying to say soul is the same way, right? Your soul is dependent on whether you think you have one or not, right? Or whether you feel like you have one or whether.
Well, we did have multiple times in this half of the season, and something that's really bothered me, and I think I've mentioned it before, is now that pretty much everybody knows, especially Chloe, then every time they come upon a crime scene, why doesn't he just excuse himself, fly down to hell, ask the dead person, because oftentimes you think they're probably in hell, who killed you, right? And then come back to the crime scene. You can say, hey, Chloe, it's John Blow, and then so then they can start looking at him and figuring out, how to like backtrack from there. And if the person's not in hell, well, then Amenadiel can get into heaven. I mean, it's not like these people are so removed. Our characters can talk; they can be interviewed. That they're not beyond the capacity of our characters to interview, and no one ever does it. And it's like, why? Why not? You could do this. You have wings now. Ask.
Well, and especially since they're spending less and less time investigating crimes as a plot driver, because I guess really if that was a plot for an episode, you pretty much kill the plot two minutes in.
Sure.
But so that's the extent of their logic, right? That's where all these have to break logically at some point, and that's where the logic breaks on this series.
It doesn't happen.
But it actually would make a really cool episode if they ever did that, and especially like you said, if Lucifer went to hell and the person wasn't in hell, then Amenadiel went up to heaven. Like, I think that really makes it very, very interesting and well framed. Yeah.
And well, you could always fix that by saying that they were shot from behind or something, or the person wore a mask. There's a ways of, well, I didn't know who killed me. Okay, well, what were you doing there? At least you might get a clue without having to get it all laid out. But it just seems like our characters keep forgetting that they have powers.
Especially now that Amenadiel wants to be a cop, right? So we would get to see his interview skills, right? And how he, that would be kind of interesting as well. Yeah. And maybe that's something for season 6.
Maybe
they should hire you as a writer, Martha.
Well, there was one line where it was finally, they did remember that they had powers. And I really liked that line. And that's when they were trying to find out who has Dan. And they're in the conference room. And Chloe says, angels take the farthest points. Humans get the ones that are closer, because obviously angels could get there faster, right? So but she's remembered they can fly, and she's assigning people their assignments, by what powers they have. It's like, finally, we're taking advantage of, you've got people with superpowers on the team, so use them, right? And so I did like that little moment.
That's more than just an Uber.
Uber. Yeah. So any other overall thoughts of season 5B?
I think they benefited from lots of great writing over all these seasons. There's a lot of episodes that we've watched of this show. And I don't think anything really too much went against that. So I think that they studied their show Bible, right? And I think that they did some really good things with it. And a couple things I really have an issue with. And just another point about, I love when they drop it once. I hate having to go week to week to wait for episodes. So I appreciate that Netflix does that.
Yeah, it's not Disney.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
All right.
Because then if you try and wait, then you get all the spoilers, right? So it's just so much better to drop it. In the way that media works now, they're handling it well.
All right. So remember, if you like this episode, hit like and subscribe, share it around, leave us comments. We'd like to hear what you've been thinking about season 5B, and we'll see you next time.
Leave a comment. Bye-bye.